Welcome to the Dougie Wuggy Story Hour. Coming to you today from Cole Arts Camp in Oakland, California. Give it up for Cole Arts Camp. Now, if you're interested in attending one of our camps, you can go to our website, which is www.coleartscamp.com. And today's story is it's a couple of stories about baseball, and actually there's a little story about football in there too. And we're going to call this one Baseball Boys. Now, the first story is about me, and the second story is about Andre, my son. All right. When I was a kid, I went to a new school in Washington, D.C. It was called Georgetown Day School. And we had just moved from Cleveland to Washington because my dad, Bob, got a job in the government working in the State Department. And so I remember when my parents announced to me that we were moving, I was like really sad and really upset. Have any of you had to move from one city to another?
No. Yes.
Have any of you had to move from one school to a new school?
Yes.
And did you feel sad or nervous or upset when you had? Okay, well,
This never happened.
I had to move from the city where I grew up in Cleveland, and then when I was almost 10, we moved to Washington, D.C., and I was really kind of sad about it. But as soon as we got there, I was actually happy because my parents, somehow or another, were able to afford a really nice house. And our backyard, I'm not kidding, was like the size of a football field. And right behind the backyard was a park called Rock Creek Park. And we would go out into the park and have adventures. We called them the Great Adventures, and we'd pack a lunch. And actually, I have a story about an adventure we had there that was kind of scary, but that's another story for another time. Okay, so I start this new school, and I had one problem that I didn't really like. I was very short. I was always the shortest in my class, and I didn't like that. I was also the fastest in my class, and I was a very good athlete. I was really good at running. I was good at baseball. I was good at touch football. And I was very proud of the fact that I was always the fastest kid in my class. I get to this new school, and everyone's like, "Oh man, you're short." And I was so conscious about it. I was always the shortest in my class, and I don't know. I mean, I was 10, so I don't know exactly. This was when I was 10. And wait, shh. And so we had a lot of races and stuff, and I proved to everybody that I was really fast. But they had a nickname for me. Actually, not all of them, but there were these two boys that I really didn't like. One's name was Adam, and one's name was Grant, and they.
What does that mean, Goodwin?
They were not very nice to me, and because I was the new kid and they had been at the school, and you know what their nickname for me was?
What?
Doug the Bug, meaning he's short like a bug. And I was like, don't call me that. And I'm like, Doug the Bug. And I don't know why the teachers didn't stop it, but kids can be a little mean sometimes. Yeah? Yes? No?
Yes.
But kids can be. They can give you nicknames, and maybe they don't mean to be mean, but maybe they don't realize that it hurts your feelings. But it did, because I was already self-conscious about being short. And they kept calling me Doug the Bug. And we decided to have a baseball tournament. It was the end of the school year. We had playoffs and the World Series. Okay, that's like the finals. And there was my team, and I had a group of kids in my group. And then the other team, our opponent, was Adam and Grant's team. They were the enemy. And it was a 6-inning game, if you know what innings are.
Yeah.
And we get down to the last inning. Their team was ahead, 5-4. There was a runner on first base, 2 outs, and guess who comes up to bat?
You.
Me, Doug the Bug.
Apparently.
And they're like, oh. And at that point, I was not a very good hitter. I was really fast, but hitting was really not my specialty. Like, if you've played baseball, do you know that hitting can be very difficult?
I played.
Yeah. I mean, do any of you play baseball or softball or Little League? Any Little Leaguers here? Any softball kids here?
I did
Okay.
baseball. Well, you did.
Well, 2 outs, and Grant was the fastest pitcher on his team, and he was always striking me out. And they were like, oh, here comes Doug the Bug. This is a strikeout. We're going to win. And I was just like, not this time. No, I was like so mad they were calling me Doug the Bug. And he throws the first pitch. Strike 1, says the umpire. Pitches again. Ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Next pitch. Strike 2. I take a big swing. I miss it. Strike 2. And they're like, yeah, we got this kid. Next pitch. Ball 2. 2-2. Next pitch. Ball 3. That's the last pitch. He throws it as hard as he can, right down the middle of the plate. And I wind up, and I hit the ball over the fence for a home run. And guess what? No one had ever hit the ball over the fence at that school, at least as far as I knew, all year. I don't know what got into me, but man, I pounded that ball, and it went over the fence, and we won the game. And I round the bases, and I'm just like, uh-huh. I'm looking at them. I'm pointing at them. And after that, you know what? They never called me Doug the Bug again. And I was very proud of that moment. And I actually left the school. No, actually, I didn't leave the school that year. I left the school the next year. But they actually changed their mind about me, and they decided I was okay, and we became friends. And although they were rather disruptive boys, and if you've heard the woo-woo whistle, have you heard that episode of the woo-woo whistle? It's one of my stories. They do some very naughty things. They were very disruptive, those boys. No. I have not seen those kids since 6th grade because I moved schools. Now, let's forward to when Andre was in Little League. Andre was in 6th grade. He was playing in Little League. And Andre, like me, was a very good athlete. He still is. If you've seen him dance, you know that. He's very good with his body. He's a very good drummer. He's very coordinated. He was excellent at soccer. He has very good moves. You know, Andre's mom is from Brazil, so Andre's got those Brazilian soccer moves in his genes. And have you ever seen the Brazilians play soccer? Yeah. They're like all foot, and they like all these moves, and they're like dancing and playing soccer. I mean, they're really good. The Brazilians are some of the best soccer players. Any of you guys play soccer here? Any soccer players? Yes. How many play soccer here? That's quite a few of you.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, and Andre was a good baseball player, but like me, he was not a very good hitter. Like, he struck out a lot. And in fact, he was the strikeout king on his team. But he was very good at fielding. He was a very good defensive player. He could play outfield. He could play infield. I mean, he was really good. But he just was not very good at hitting the ball. And so his coach gave... You know what bunting is in baseball? You guys know what bunting is? So instead of swinging the bat really hard, you turn around and you square around and you lay down a bunt, like short, and then you just try and run to first base as fast as you can. Okay, so Andre was really good at bunting, and so his coach had him bunting all the time. And you know how coaches have like a signal?
Yeah.
You know, like they do little signals?
Yeah, my
So the signal for bunting was the coach would go, "Attaboy, attaboy," and he'd clap. He'd go, "Attaboy," and that means bunt the ball. So every time Andre gets up, the coach is like, "Attaboy," and Andre's like, "Oh man, really? I gotta," he was frustrated because he wanted to try. He wanted to hit, but he was really good at bunting and he was fast. So a lot of times he got on first base from bunting. But then we get to the championship game. Knoll Soul Little League. Now, those of you that are in Oakland, there's a North Oakland Little League and South Oakland Little League. And it was the championship. And their best pitcher was on the mound. Man, this kid was like this. He could strike anybody out. And he was like just whipping through our team. But then, guess what? It came to the last inning. It was like my story. It came to the last inning. And we got a runner on first base. Then we got a runner on second base. We were behind by 2 runs. Last inning, 2 outs. And guess who's up to the plate? Andre. And everybody's like, "Oh, no, not Andre." Like our team was like, "Oh, gosh, he's going to strike out." And then Andre kept listening, like, "Am I supposed to bunt here?" But those of you that know baseball, that is not really a bunting situation. He had to, like, really swing away because they were, like, prepared. They're like, "Oh, this is the bunting guy." So they were all, like, ready for the bunt. And they kind of came in, like the third baseman came in a little bit, and the first baseman was, like, ready for the bunt. And then first pitch, strike 1. Andre swings, misses it by a mile. And I'm sitting there going, "Oh, gosh, this is going to be so depressing. Andre's going to strike out, and he's going to cry, and it's going to be a bad weekend. Everybody's going to blame him, and he's going to be upset with himself." I was just like, really? Did it have to come down to Andre? Then the next pitch, ball 1. Okay, 1 ball, 1 strike. Next pitch, strike 2. And I'm like, "Oh, God." Next pitch, ball 2. Next pitch, ball 3. 3-2. It comes down to the final pitch. Their pitcher winds up. I close my eyes like, "Oh, I cannot stand this. I'm gonna hear the other team cheering because they won the championship." I close my eyes, and what do I hear? A crack of the bat. Andre hit the ball harder than I've ever seen him hit it, over the third baseman's head, down the left field line, and it rolled over the fence for a ground rule double. He scored the 2 runs to tie the game, and now it was tied. And everyone was like, "Oh, my God, Andre!" And I'm like, "Oh, my God, Andre, I can't believe you did that." And then the next batter up hits a single. Andre rounds third base, scores the winning run, and his team wins the championship. Woo! And I was so happy for him and happy for the team and happy that I didn't have to listen to him cry in the car for like 3 hours and be depressed all weekend and then after that he quit baseball. He was like, "You know what? I'm done with baseball." I had a good run there, but then he became a soccer player and yeah. But do you want to hear a bonus story?
Yeah!
Well, this isn't really about baseball. It's more about football. When I was a teacher at St. Paul School, there was a flag football team. Any of you play flag football? They had a flag football team. And I went to watch the game. Andre was just a baby. Andre was 6 months old, and I was holding him, and we were watching the St. Paul's team play Bentley School, I believe it was.
Bentley.
And one of the kids on our team scored a touchdown. He caught the pass. He spikes the ball. You know how they spike the ball? He's like, yeah! He throws the ball down, and an earthquake happened. I'm not kidding. The second the ball hit the ground, there was an earthquake. And I'm not talking about a little earthquake. I'm talking about the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. That was the biggest earthquake we've had in the Bay Area since the big earthquake of 1906 that practically destroyed San Francisco. And, of course, and you know what? You know what happened in that earthquake? Not to scare you guys, but part of the Bay Bridge collapsed. Yeah, like the upper deck, part of the upper deck, fell onto the lower deck. Yeah, it was, and where we were down at Lake Merritt, there was a building that started swaying like this, and a bunch of bricks fell and crushed cars, and I fell to the ground because the ground literally went like, woo! The ground rippled like we were on the ocean. And fortunately, nobody from the school was hurt or anything. But then we started teasing the kid who spiked the football. We said, you caused the San Francisco earthquake when you spiked the football. He said, it wasn't me. It was just a Nerf ball. I said, no. Yeah. And so we teased him for a long time that he caused the great Loma Prieta earthquake of 1989. Yeah, I don't think a football could do that. Okay. All right. It is now time to go to recess. Over and out from the Dougie Wuggy Story Hour.